Alright guys, welcome to another episode of Tesco Beer Week. That's what we're going to call it. And day 2, if I've uploaded these in their proper sequential order. Not that it really matters, of course. So today we're going back over to the wonderful Fourpure Brewery. And this is a can of the Star City Double IPA, brewed in collaboration with Mothership, which are I think they're an all-female brewery based in London, who I've been seeing a lot of hype on Instagram before, because I think they've got a couple of beers now as part of the current lineup in Tesco's. And yes, I've been hearing a lot about them, so I'm really glad to see them in the supermarkets. And of course, that whole sort of there are a lot of debates and conversations when it comes to diversity in craft beer. Now, I'm not even going to attempt to navigate that, because anything you say in this day and age can get taken out of context, or people can assume you're saying something dependent on how they interpret what is being said. So we shall leave that minefield alone for much more eloquent and bigoted people to deal with. Let's leave it at that. But yeah, really great to see a brewery like this, because quite frankly, we wouldn't really have a brewing industry if it wasn't for women. Look throughout history. Females have brewed for years and years, and I'm of the opinion that I don't really think there's anything too problematic within the industry. But of course, I'm someone looking outside, looking in when it comes to industry. Didn't I say I wasn't going to cross this minefield? But I'm dipping my toes, I would say. I think there is genuine issues, I would say, with the consumer base when it comes to the attitudes when it comes to beer and the place of different groups and collectives and that sort of thing. What I'm going to say is beer should be for everyone. I've met a wonderfully diverse range of people doing this. Doesn't matter what the race, doesn't matter their age, doesn't matter their sexuality, doesn't matter what their gender is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, people are people, and thankfully, I would say that in recent years that the beer community has been a lot more inclusive. Let's just leave it at that. Anyway, I've probably dug myself some sort of hole, but hey ho, that's the age that we live in, I suppose. So yeah, back onto the beer then. This is an 8% or 7.4% ABV. Should be served at 8 degrees. IBU is 65, so a nice kick of bitterness there. So, brewed and canned in London, some of the greatest adventures start in the most unexpected ways. Take Helen Sharman, for example. She became the first Brit in space, thanks to answering an advert that simply stated, "Astronaut. Wanted, no experience necessary." This collaboration with Mothership aims to celebrate pioneering women like Helen and blast you to the furthest reaches of flavour. Liberally hopped with Enigma and Eldorado, this double IPA showcases all that is good about dank and juicy IPAs and promises to boldly take you where no man has gone before. But yeah, lovely looking can, although I think a few people have picked up on this now. Very reminiscent of Beavertown. I'm not going to lie, but still really nice and vibrant. And a pigeon nearly came in my window. It's better than coming on to me. Anyway, sex joke for no reason with animals. Using a glass that I very rarely use for some reason, my old beer moth glass. So let's see what we get with this. I have seen a few people have already reviewed this, of course, because I am uploading these a few weeks after the initial release of the beers. But I've not really heard too many thoughts and opinions on this beer itself, so I'm looking forward to giving it a try. And of course, we'll be revisiting everyone's reviews once I've done this. But yeah, looks like a classic American-style West Coast IPA. Lovely clarity there. Bronzy amber hue to it. Beer poured with about a little finger's worth of a very slightly beige looking head. Definitely off-white. But yeah, very pretty looking beer indeed in the glass. So let's see what we get on the nose. And it's got those classic American West Coast IPA aromas. I would say my nose is making a trumpet sound, and I don't know if that's been picked up on camera, but trademark dipping the nose into beer. Ticked it off the box. I'd say it's actually a really quite gentle smelling beer. You definitely get those like marmalade-y, caramelly sort of aromas coming through. There's a little bit of like a dank edge, resiny, piney. Lovely sweet malt build coming through. Yeah, it's a lovely change to what IPAs have become popular for now. That wasn't a properly structured sentence, but oh well. Another one ticked off the box. I should actually release a Clueless Drinker drinking game. But yeah, it's smelling damn good. It really, really is. A little bit laid back, but when you do take a big sniff, you do get all of those classic West Coast vibes. So anyway, let's see what it tastes like. Cheers, guys. It's an interesting one. Don't know what's going on outside. You get a big bitterness right up front with this, which on that first sip kind of threw me a little bit. But on that second sip, it works really nicely with the beer. Then the bitterness comes back in on the back end. The final third of the beer, not much happens, but there's like a big initial hoppy flavour up front. Loads of citrusy character. Gentle, sweet, biscuity malt build. Nice upper end of medium mouthfeel. But the third, it gets a little bit watery, and the flavour dies off, and then the bitterness comes through. A little bit of clementine in there, I would say. It's not as piney or as resiny on the flavour as you would expect from the nose, but then again, it wasn't like in your face or anything like that. There's a little bit of warmth on the back end. I'm a little bit conflicted with this beer. On one hand, I think it's a really enjoyable beer. It really, really is. It's reminded me of beers that I was getting into when I was getting into craft beer. You know, the big American, the likes of Stone and Ballast Point and, breweries like that. The big, abrasive, upfront, hoppy beers. So remind me of that. But as I said, there's a little bit of a dip in the enjoyment on the final third. There's also a very slight medicinal character, but nothing too, offensive or abrasive in that sense. But yeah, for a double IPA, I'd happily buy this again. Fourpure, they're known for their pale beers, especially when they've got, citrus fruits in there. Come on. There's almost, like a grape musk character coming through, which is interesting. Which is ironic because I know the other, I'm not sure if Mothership have got 2 or 3 beers, but I know one of their other beers in this Tesco's range is a Brute IPA. I think it is. If so, poor choice. I just don't know. I don't know why people are still drinking Brute IPAs, because most people who I see aren't a fan of them. But obviously, there's enough people drinking them for them to be constantly, rebrewed. As I'm drinking it now, there's a tiny, tiny bit of an ethanol-like character coming through, which gives it the impression that it's boozy. So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't believe that this is a beer that should be shat on. I mean, that big milk stout that we reviewed yesterday, that was just that beer just missed the mark. It really, really did. This has a bit more going for it. Is it the best double IPA you're ever going to try? No. Is it worth the £3? I would say so. Would I go out and get it again? Probably. It depends on what else was in the Tesco's at the time. But I certainly wouldn't pass it up as an enjoyable beer. And if you want those like classic American, you say classic American West Coast, but the IPAs are, the enhanced IPAs are American influenced anyway, but you know what I mean. If you're looking for that like resiny, bitter double IPA, that a lot more breweries are doing more of, which is always welcomed. It's nice to have a change from fruit punch every now and then, although some really good examples in Tesco's recently. Yeah, it's a nice step in a different direction. I get to try a brewery I've wanted to try for a while, and I will be trying more of their beers from Mothership. Fourpure, they're one of the most consistent breweries I think out there, no matter who owns them or what they do. I think they're a very solid beer, and I need to try more of the special seasonal sort of beers that you can get, like from their web shop and stuff like that. Those crowlers that they do, really good value for money. Might have to pick up like one of their mixed boxes. I'll have to see if I can get any Mothership online as well, because I really want to try more of their beers. And not just because, it's a special brew because it's it's an all-female. I understand the importance of that, but that doesn't make any difference to my enjoyment of a beer. If someone knows how to brew a good beer, they know how to brew a good beer. But I think it's really good that there's a focus on that. But I think, stepping on that minefield again, I think we can get a little bit too bogged down on that sort of discourse, I should say, when it comes to beer. But for anyone who's, if you're an idiot and you're doubting the fact, the quality of beer just because they're an all-female brewery, then quite frankly, you're a fucking idiot. You can say what you want about them, that's your right to. It's like with racist. It's like, I want to hear people be racist so I can shit on them or try and change their minds. I want people to be vocal, whether they're, an advocate or whether they're being a bigot. Let people be vocal so other people can have a conversation, because that's an art form that we're losing right now. I think I've dived head first into a minefield. So luckily, nothing's blown up yet. I'm going to leave it there. As a beer itself, let's focus. Star City Double IPA from Mothership and Fourpure. In terms of rating, I can give that a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10, just at that threshold of me wanting to go out and buy another can. And so if you've tried this one, then let me know your thoughts, opinions down below. Are you a fan of either brewery? Have you tried any of the Tesco beers? And join me tomorrow for another Tesco beer. I hope you're enjoying this series so far. I say that every time I do like a week of special reviews, but yeah, anyway, I'm a big fan of what Tesco's is doing. I'm at a point now where I can't really spend too much money because I've got other commitments at the moment. So I know that a short bus ride away or a short drive away I can get access to, you know, premium craft ales, as my good friend Danny Kane would say. Anyway, I'm off to eat a couple of cheese and ham paninis, watch some YouTube, sit back on my day off, and probably review another few beers today. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I shall hopefully see you all later. Cheers.